It's been 4 years of thinking that things are about to kick off, basically. It's been 4 years of thinking, oh, but, things are about to explode or things are going to go wild. What do you think? Like, are you wavering in your belief that something might happen with this stock, or are you still like firmly in the let's just see what happens camp?
I've never been in the let's just see what happens camp. And just for full disclosure for everyone watching the show, um, Josh, right, the host of the show, I've never talked to you,
No,
text you.
no,
This is our first communication.
literally,
No edits, no cuts. This
no.
is just us talking. So I want to make that very clear to people because um, you never know where someone's coming from, right? So the idea that I would sit across from you and say, "Hey, I'm hopeful," that's not where I'm at. I have been studying retail investing and retail the function of business for a long time, and seeing the changes that GameStop's making, it leads me to believe GameStop's going a different direction. But it's almost like going to the gym. You won't see the results right away. Everyone wants to have that six pack and look great with their shirt off, but it's going to take you time. It's going to take you commitment, and that's what I see right now. I see GameStop cutting it up. I see GameStop doing the right thing at all times, and they've made a better business model, something you could scale off of. So that's what I've been noticing for GameStop.
Interesting. So you say go in a different direction. What do you mean by go in a different direction?
Well, let's think about it. And at the time when Ryan Cohen was coming into GameStop and writing to the board of directors, they had history of working with multiple different companies. And I would say equated to having relations with private equity. I've always said this part where private equity gets into companies and they do leverage buyouts, publicly traded companies where they leverage the company. And GameStop had debt. GameStop expanded beyond any footprint that would be viable. They call it overstored, where you have more square footage than dollars coming in. And at that point, GameStop started cutting stores and started cutting the fat. And you can become viable. You can become profitable. You can sustain. You can stay alive forever if you stretch it out long enough. But it looked like everyone was writing GameStop off for dead. And Ryan Cohen came in and with a decisive plan. And Matthew Furlong was the CEO before him, and I was noticing Matthew Furlong was not making the changes drastic enough, fast enough. It was like kind of trying to save face. It was like, okay, we can make a cut, but not too much. And it came to a point where you had to hit it hard, go cold turkey, for the lack of a better term. You had to go in there, chop it all off, and see what you can handle. And I think GameStop's been doing that. From my calculations, I think GameStop's closed over 700 stores this year, and I was counting them up the other day. Well, because I had a list of them, and we did some research, and we found over 400 stores in the U.S. and then internationally combined, over 733 stores have been listed as to being cut, and that means that if GameStop's cut off 18%, 17% of their footprint, and they're making more profit than ever, it goes tenfold. I can rattle off all the numbers for you, but that's not going to do it. It's the world hasn't caught up yet, and definitely Wall Street hasn't caught up with what the metric is to measure the value for GameStop. So that's why I'm still here, and I'm happy. I'm happy to be here.
Is Wall Street starting to catch up? There's a lot of
Oh yeah.
institutional buying going on at the minute.
Oh yeah.
So do
Yeah.
you think that's
Absolutely.
what's happening then?
When I initially first got into GameStop, over 4 years ago, there was a 97% institutional ownership, and that was because it was shorted so much that people couldn't they couldn't account for all the shares. Then as May came along of 2021, that number dwindled down all the way down to around 30%, 40%. So I've seen it drop off the whole time. Now you see over 590 institutions own GameStop right now. So I can only imagine that number go up if once people really start hearing and see. The thing is, it's a turnaround company. And that's a big thing for Wall Street. They don't invest in turnarounds because they wait to see it happen. The old phrase is, I gotta see it. I gotta see it before I believe it. And you have to see the whites of the eyes before you actually say, you know what? Yes, I believe in them. So GameStop will have to have this quarter report coming out. They'll have to show profit. That'll be 2 years of profit. But what it will do, it'll also show you there's no cash burn, there's higher profit margins, just everything they're doing right now, showing you the better business model for the legacy side of the business is the focus for me right now. And then, the what ifs, well, those are my back pocket. So I'm excited.
Hmm. When you say the legacy side, you just mean like in-store purchases of like, yeah, gaming consoles and games, essentially.
Yeah, I got into this conversation so many times over the years where people like to dwell on the fact digital, gaming. And I would tell you there's more to business than just a product. The things that GameStop has done over these last 4 years, they've changed their business model. To give you an example of changing business model, they changed the hours of operation. By changing hours of operation here in the States, if you know brick and mortar,
Mhm.
it's a shift. You can actually manage the actual building with one full-time employee, two part-timers, so you can piece it together. You don't have to have multiple part-time. These are all controllables, by the way. You want to control your payroll, you want to control your merchandise, you want to control your margin, and GameStop has been able to do that. A couple things they've also done. They've renegotiated logistics. So when you look at the fulfillment centers closing down and logistically getting my product from point A to point B, it's called final delivery. What does it cost me? If you saw GameStop quarter 4 in 2022, they were at 16% on gross profit margin. They're now at 30%. So they've almost doubled their gross profit margin per quarter as they're going. So we'll see what comes out quarter 4. But GameStop's just done the right thing at all turns. You would think they've taken over the warranty business themselves. They've done more private label than ever before, and that increases margin. And so you see that on the bottom line. You saw their partnerships with CandyCon controllers. You've seen Mod Retro for the gaming consoles. And then you've seen the plushies, actually, the stuffed animals.
Mhm.
They actually own the company that does it. The little figurines, they actually are the parent company of the figurines. So people don't see these things happening in the background, but these are the things that create this moat around your company to keep everyone out of it. You're creating your own margin, your own value, and then the partnership to PSA gets announced.
Mhm.
And that's a big one for me, the PSA partnership for graded collectibles. Uh, Recently, that was just announced 2 quarters ago, and now you had a full quarter of it, quarter 4 right now. But the PSA announcement, it attracts a different crowd. It attracts a different shopper. It allows you to bring your cards to the store and get them graded, and that's a service. Service doesn't cost you anything. Services are free of inventory. They don't cost you things. So it's just net profit, and that hits the bottom line. So there's so many things that they've done, their own co-branded credit card, private label stuff that people just are not watching every turn like they should. But if you're in business and you understand it, this is why institutions are coming running. And they'll come more. More people come running once they see the profits, once they see the cash. But it takes time. It takes time, and it's a turnaround. So a lot of people say they're a turnaround. A lot of people make bets on turnarounds. But when you do and you buy it for cheap, that's how you're going to win. So that's GameStop right now.
Mm. Hey everyone, thanks for making it right the way to the end of the podcast. I love that you tuned in this long. Do me a favor, hit subscribe because 80% of you bastards are not subscribing, but you're watching my videos. See you next time.